What is up, and welcome back to Beyond the Arc with Brandon Silvers. As always, I am your host, Brandon Silvers. I am super excited today because this is the first time since I started covering sports that I've had the opportunity to cover the Olympics. I love the Olympics, particularly track and field. I want to talk about it, and who better to talk about track and field with than my old coach, a man who has coached champions at every level, including Olympic silver medalist Raven Saunders from the Herbert Johnson Track and Field Academy. Coach Herbert Johnson. Coach, thank you for coming on again. It's been too long.
Man, thank you for having me. Tell Kobe I still have a beef with him, picking the wrong teams during football season, but I'll let that slide for now. Great being here. I'm glad you have me. I'm happy to be on this again.
No,
yes.
I will pass the message on. So today, since you are someone who has forgotten more track and field knowledge than most people ever learn, I'm going to try to stump the coach. I'm going to ask you questions related to Olympic events. I'm going to see if you can or cannot give me an answer. We're going to go event by event.
Okay.
Are you prepared?
I am prepared. And as you know, I'm full of opinions. So
I have learned that in my nearly 2 decades.
But yes.
In my nearly 2 decades of dealing with you, I have learned that you are certainly full of opinions.
Yes.
Some people say you're full of other things as well.
That's what they might say. But normally, I'm correct or close to it.
So let's move on to the men's 100. Similar question with a slight twist. Is it going to be US, Jamaica, or other? I'll read some of the top contenders now. For the US, we've got Noah Lyles. We got Fred Curley.
Yes.
We've got Kung Fu Kenny Bednarik.
Ooh.
Then we've got, for Jamaica, we got Kishane Thompson, who went 9.77 to win their trials, and Oblique Seville, who went 9.82 in their trials. And then for the others,
how about the Italian?
Lamont Jacobs, their Mike Tirico, the 100-meter gold medalist in 2021. We've got from Kenya, Ferdinand Omanyala, has a personal best of 9.77 and a season best of 9.79. The South African, Akani Simbine, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. And someone who I've seen a lot, who always seems to find a way, Canada, Andre DeGrassi. I feel like he's always finding a podium somehow. I never know how, but he's always finding the podium. So we've got US, Jamaica, and the rest of the world. What are you thinking about the men's 100 heading into this Olympic Games? I'm excited.
Let me tell you, this is going to be one of the most incredible rounds of any Olympics. You see all those names on there?
Ooh.
You can't go into a round after probably the first preliminary round, and I wouldn't take a chance on that because I've seen people do crazy things where they're probably taking the top half or the top 4 in this preliminary round is going to the next round. So unless you're in there against Iceland and Greece, which used to have a good track tradition, but at this point, everybody can make you have to run in the early rounds, at least by the preliminaries, definitely in the semifinals. That being the case, you can't take off the second part of your race like you normally would do. And if you are a person that comes on at the end of the race, you have to run the complete race because you can't tell how far is now going to be at the end of the race. I normally catch them at 60 meters. I normally catch them at 70 meters. You might get to 70 meters and realize, I was planning on taking it easy till 70 meters and these guys are gone and I have just lost my chance to go to the next round. So you have to run this to the end. And you're going to see a lot of guys running to the end, and you're going to hear a lot of the announcers, why are they running so hard? And you would hear all the coaches saying, you better run 4 complete races, and I don't want to hear anything about you saving something for the next round, because if you save something for the next round in this group of guys, you might not get to the final. All right, that's what's going to happen here. The favorite, whew, my goodness.
This is tough.
Noah Lyles, to me, is not a favorite in the 100 meters. People are trying to equate Noah Lyles with Usain Bolt. If Noah Lyles breaks Usain Bolt's world record, you realize Usain Bolt did that at 22 and 23 years of age, that his world records were broken at that age. Noah Lyles by that time, Usain Bolt had a pocket load of gold medals and all kind of other medals. Noah Lyles is going to an Olympic Games where he is probably the fan favorite, the media favorite. I don't know if you would put him as the track and field favorite coming on with all the pressure. And he too is going to be running the 200, which to me is, if you want to ask 200, I would tell them all to put their bags, don't even close them. Just leave their bags open. Matter of fact, don't even take off your dress shoes, because you're just going out there for a preliminary run, because he's going to murderize them in the 200. If he doesn't murderize them in the 200, then actually his leg did fall off going around the curve. So he has cleaned up his 100 so that he can begin and finish. There's really, when people are running the 100, they think if you can clean up a section, like the middle section, the front section, the back section, you are focused on that. But if you just get 2 inches more on each step, that would give you like a 1/10 of a second. Most men take about 46 to 42 steps per 100 meters of world class. Most women 48 to 52. So if you took 42 steps and each step was 2 inches, 3 inches longer, you're now into meters. A meter normally is going to end up with a 1/10 of a second. That's how you build on a race. But he did clean up the beginning part of his race, which was atrocious. Let them go, because he had the mentality of, I can run them down, until people like Christian Coleman and Fred Curley came out the last time, and the young man who didn't make the team this time, and he found out, I can't run them down anymore. So just like Usain Bolt, I don't have to be in the front of them. I just have to be with them. And normally the taller athlete takes longer to get to their top speed. They have a longer push series where the smaller athlete might already finish with his push phase at around 25 meters. The taller athletes maybe 30 to 35 meters if they don't panic. And if you ever see athletes come up and 3 or 4 steps, you can see their chest, then they have panicked and they're doing what we call standing up, and they're not driving anymore, and they're in deep trouble. I would say in this race, if I was a betting person, I don't think Curley can do it. I think he's had his day. I don't think he has been practicing really well. Kung Fu Kenny in the 100, no, not in this group here. Jacobs, because he's the Olympic champion and everybody doubts him, I think might get a medal. I haven't seen him run this year. His times haven't been super impressive. And the races that I have seen him in weren't really his best work.
So I have some information along the lines that I want to share, because I was looking at the same thing. I was looking at Jacob's times, and he has only been sub 10 twice this year with a season best of 9.92. Then I looked back at the year he won the gold medal. He only had one sub 10 time of 9.95 headed into that Olympic Games, and one with a 9.8. I don't know if that makes a difference to you, but I did find it interesting.
That would be something that I would think about. And then I'd put 4 more years of age on that. And then I would see, is he between 26 and 30 or between 28 and 32? If he's between 28 and 32, it was a nice run. If he's between 26 and 30, then we might be on a system that he uses in order to get himself going.
Let's see. He is 29. He'll be 30 in September.
Ooh,
We're
man,
right on the cusp.
He might be dangerous now.
Former long jumper too. That's interesting because we talked about people dropping from the 4, but a long jumper that
A lot of leg strength,
yeah,
a lot of body control, a lot of speed. Can't long. I don't know how good he was, but no long jump of any means can jump without having a lot of speed and leg power. I don't think he's going to do it. I see DeGrassi has had his time. Simbini and Ugala, say his name for me.
Omanyala. So his fast times, when I was looking at his times, he hasn't really done that at any major event. It's all been like I think maybe he did something at the Commonwealth Games. Maybe that would probably be the biggest one.
I would take him out then. Nothing for him.
Okay.
Simbini,
scratch him off the list. Process of elimination.
Yes, he's gone. So Simbini and
DeGrassi and Omanyala out of here. Leave. You're done.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes, you all have had it.
Jacobs might make the podium. Maybe might be playing possum.
Might make the podium. Yes. Okay. Might make the podium. So now we only left with Lyles and Simbini.
Let's see. Well, what about the Jamaicans? So we've got, I don't know if you need to get your hat again. I don't know if you need to get your hat, but and speaking of Jamaicans, I do want to go back to the Lyles Usain Bolt comp. That you're right. I've been seeing that a lot.
Yes.
So Lyles has a personal best of 9.83 in the 100.
Y'all better stop now. Don't make
Usain Bolt, please explain for the casual track fan. Bolt's world record 9.58 and his Olympic record of 9.63. How far away is that from a 9.83?
Okay, you stand up in your house and you get right in your house. And Lyles is at 9. What is his record?
Lyles 9.83.
Okay, so that's 0.4 of a second. You stand up in your house against the wall. And you just take one step, not an exaggerated step. You just take one step. Now you're at 9.68, 2 steps. You're at 9.78, 3 steps. You're at 9.88, and then take the 4th step, and you're at 9.90. Now get someone to stand where you were against the wall. You are Lyles, and you would now, the person at the wall is now Lyles, and you would be Usain Bolt. That is the difference. Even if I gave you, took half of a meter off of the last step. So you're going to be 3.5 steps away, or 3.5 meters. I just say 3 meters, 4 meters away from Usain Bolt, what he did in 100. So you might as well let him jump out of the blocks. So start Usain Bolt. If we were even, you would start Usain Bolt up there and start Noah Lyles back here, and then we would run. So that gives you an idea of the distance. I'm not even going with the 9.19 that Usain Bolt, and we're not even talking about ages. How many medals and what he did, and who was the competition?
Yeah, just strictly off the clock. Because even didn't Tyson Gay run a 9.69?
When Usain Bolt was running, he ran against a field of monsters. But people also don't remember, yes, that Usain Bolt earned his beatings too.
Yeah.
He came to his first Olympics. He got smashed up he was the world junior record holder. He wasn't and he was the world junior record holder when he got in his first Olympics. And you can go back, if you put in Usain Bolt's first Olympics, 200 meters, and you can see people beating him. There's one man beating him with his thigh taped up. Okay?
I tell you what, I would be telling that story to everybody. I beat Usain Bolt with one leg.
with my thigh tape. Lyles is a great talent, but he's a media phenomenon because of how we have social media. Now, that doesn't mean there's 10 people out there, 3 people out there that can beat him in the 200. And like I said, there ain't 2 people. There ain't one person that I believe can beat him in the 200. But Lyles, at where he is now in the 100, there is no comparison to when Usain Bolt was. Now, if Lyles runs down there sometime, then the story, of course, would change. But then you would still go back to the age that Usain Bolt did it, how many medals he had, how many Olympic medals. I always consider the Olympics medals trump all. You have 5 world championships. No little child is out there in their yard saying, I want to be the world champion. That ain't happening. Everybody wants to be the Olympic champion. When it's not, the Olympics can have their own thing that's track and field by themselves and have their own stuff. The world championship is nice, but a lot of people don't even come to the world championship who are ranked. It's not the end all and do all. And then the Diamond League falls under that, and the Continental Tour is under that. So, but Lyles is a great talent. He's probably going to end up being probably one of the best, if not the best, American sprinter ever. You have to remember, Lyles and Raven came out at the same time. 2014, they made their debut, and his brother wasn't too shabby, but Lyles, and I think the brother is the older brother, but Lyles is the man in the 200.
Yeah, 19.31 in the 2. I believe only Usain and Johan Blake have run faster.
That is an incredible amount of running. All right, to take it from a person, the furthest I even got close to that might be 21.7 or something. That's a long ways. That's like where you were watching the race instead of someone goes by you and you running 21 something and they're running 19 something. When they came around to the top of the curve, you were actually like watching it from the bottom of the curve coming out the block. You're like, wow, this would be a good race, because you could see the entire race going on. I think Lyles is going to, if we haven't gotten to that yet, but in the 100, I would have to go with the young man. I think it's Simbini.
Simbini from South Africa?
Is that the one that did his thing? Whoever did it and has not done it outside of the championships, was that
Omanyala.
Okay, so Simbini, I would think, would be my pick for this race. In a close one, I don't think Lyles has much room for error, but I can't even sit here and tell you that Simbini is going to get through all of the rounds unscathed. So it is a real mixo here. Your draw is going to tell you who is in your qualifying heats.
So I've got season best for you. We'll I'll pull up season best. So Simbini's season best, he ran a 9.94 in May. Omanyala ran a 9.79. Let's see. We've got Seville, Oblique Seville, coached by Glenn Mills, who coached Usain Bolt. He ran a 9.82 at the Jamaican trials, and he's been 9.82 or 9.83 in 3 of his 4 races in June. And then Kishane Thompson ran the 9.77 to win the Jamaican trials. And then, of course, you got Noah Lyles, we just talked about, with the 9.83.
This is going to come down to the 2 Americans, the 2 Jamaicans, and the South African.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
Tough. Have we stumped the coach, or do we have? Are you going with Simbini?
Oh wow! I think this race here, I'm going to pick somebody. You all stumped me now. I'm doing it. I've been stumped.
There we go.
Any of these 4
this
win this race.
This is just competitive. Competitive.
Yes. Any of these 4 could end up with a false start, which I don't think will happen, a stumble, a mistiming of when you want to shut down or when you thought you were. But if I was going to pick somebody, why not pick the long shot? And 9, Glenn Mills prodigy, because he's been more consistent, even though Thompson has run the 9.77. That's a lot of running. Let's go with Glenn Mills he has seen it before. He's coached it before. If the young man has it in him, he can kind of tell him this is what you need to do. So the gentleman Glenn Mills I'm going to take him.
Oblique Seville.
Win the 100. I take Lyles to get second. And if the 100 is run, then you hear this here first. If Lyles does not win the 100, he will break the world's record into 2.
Ooh.
He will destroy. He will be so berserk because he wants to erase. He doesn't even say that it's Usain Bolt's record, these records. He just say the record. He doesn't want to even put in his mind that it belongs to another person and it belongs to Blake, to Usain Bolt. So if he doesn't win the 100, the world's record in the 2 is gone.
Ooh. That is bold. That's the kind of hot take I was looking for today. I was looking for a spicy hot take and to stump you. And so far, I'm off to a fantastic start.
Yes. This has been that's been great there. I'm going to look back on it. I had some of the information. It wouldn't have been like you giving it to me now in this form here, but I even didn't consider Degrassi even being back in the mix again. I thought Degrassi was like, thank you, and I'm out. Elvis has left the building.
That's because we'll let the audience know we did have technical difficulties on Coach's end with his notes.
Yes.
So he's doing this top of the dome.
Yes. I had my notes in my phone, which I'm on now, and I was going to put us on my Kindle, and the Kindle won't load, so I can't get into my Zoom. It wants me to I didn't put the app on the Kindle, so I can't get into the Zoom on the Kindle in time for us to do this. So I'm appreciative that Brandon has given me this information, and I will not hear the end of this either.
No, it is impressive you're able to do this off the top of your head. So thank you
You're welcome.
for this. And going back to Oblique Seville, talked about coached by Glenn Mills, who coached Usain Bolt, 23 years old, and Kishane Thompson's 22 for Jamaica. But Oblique is 5'7".
Whoa.
And I want you to talk about kind of the changes in height we've seen across the men's 100 in particular, where you had Usain Bolt was 6'5", which growing up looking at track, I was used to like the Maurice Greens 5'9" type guy. How have you seen it go from like we get the shorter guys to the taller guys, and now we might be going back and forth between the two at this point?
Yeah, the average, let's say about in 1970 on until maybe 10, 15 years ago, or until Bolt came on the scene, and Bolt still was an anomaly outside of a Carl Lewis, Jefferson. We had sprinters that were tall, but not world-class, I'm going to take your medal sprinters that were tall outside of Lewis. Now, you might have had taller sprinters, but when you're losing, we don't look at them. So you might have had a 6'5" sprinter, but he was an 18,000th place, so we didn't care about that. Usain Bolt came on the scene, and I don't consider Usain Bolt ever being a great starter out of the blocks, which you don't need. People put too much emphasis on what is a block start. And a lot of people think it's the first step out of the block or the second step out of the block. For me, when I'm coaching it, it's the first 15 meters when you transition from block into running speed. And you're still in your drive phase. You haven't gotten finished with your drive phase. You want to at least get to 30 meters driving. There aren't many people that have good drive phases anymore. There weren't many people that had good drive phases in history anyway. That's why when the Shelly Ann Fraser Price, or you see some of these young, and it's normally the women, but you on occasion see a man with a fantastic start. They had a young man that was at Kits, it'll come to me, that had a beautiful start. Couldn't finish, something like a Christian Coleman.
Christian Coleman, that's who came to mind.
Is an incredible starter, but he isn't really a good form starter either. He doesn't stay down there a long period of time. So when I think of starts, and when most people who coach starting blocks think of starts, they're thinking of the first 15 meters. So you think, how many steps is that? Let's say 5 steps. So your first 5 to 6 steps, some people first 5 to 7 steps. Sometimes we only tell you your first 7 steps, make sure you're still down. So you're still in the block. Most people take 2 steps out of the block and they start running. They're not driving anymore. And you can't drive if you don't see people really using their arm out of the block, then they are not driving, because the arms set the tempo and the cadence for the legs. Now, if you don't believe that, go run outside as fast as you can. Take your dog favorite toy, put it in your pocket, hold your hands around your chest, and run as fast as you can. Not that you're going to beat the dog anyway, but you're going to get caught much faster. Use your arms and run, or you could do it walking. Put your hands down to your side and walk as fast as you can, and then walk as fast as you can using your. So the arms are important. Most athletes don't use their arms. I wouldn't say they're not using them for us against them. The normal person, you can't even equate. But athlete against athlete. Normally, a complete stroke you would be talking about where the hand is up to your thumb, up to your eye, and then back where your thumb is about maybe 4 or 5 inches behind your side pocket. Some coaches have coached to put your hand right there in your pocket. That's like a chop move down and right back up, because they're trying to get the cadence to be faster. But if you shorten your step, you don't get a complete push off with your feet, your legs onto the track. So the shorter the stride back, the opposite leg is shortened on its stride back also. So you want a complete stride forward and a complete stride stroke back. People have asked Coach Talese, who coached Carl Lewis, why is his hands like that when he's running? You see a lot of kids today doing that. And you say, is he trying to cut through the wind aerodynamically? No, it's to remind him to make a complete stroke. So you have all these kids out there doing this, think they're cutting through the wind. And some athletes, and that's not even what it's for, you crazy people. Did anyone ask the coach? No one asked the coach. No one asked, why are you doing that? They just looked at it and said, this must be what he's doing. It isn't. So, but the size advantage was around 5'9", about 145 to 150 pounds. These people that you are looking at out there that might be tall, Usain Bolt probably is 155 to 160 pounds. What do you think? He can't run at 180, 175 pounds now. That's too much. So these people are tall sticks. They might be rippled, and you looking at them and say, wow, they are really muscular. You get by them and you're like, holy mackerel. And you get them on the scale, the amount of weight that you have to carry at that rate of speed, every pound, it's like throwing stuff off of the ship that you're trying to get off of the island. We got to take out the seats. Now we got to throw a person overboard. So you don't want to have weight. You can't have weight at that. So, but the sprinters have now gotten to the place, because the selection process of athletes, because of social media, which is a good thing in this vein, has allowed athletes that probably would never have come to track because they didn't see any fame in it. See, Usain Bolt brought fame on a global scale. So now people want to be Usain Bolt, Sha'Carri Richards, they want to be a Raven Saunders. They see these athletes that before they didn't see. NBC will have them on a Saturday or Sunday. You can go on the other USA networks and you can actually see them. Some of the networks are carrying the college championships on over and over. So it is put in the spotlight that you don't have to be a smaller person, and the coaches are taking athletes, and athletes are coming out who, man, I just ran, because they've got information now. Do you know I just ran and broke the state record out here running with you guys? I'm 0.6 of a second behind, and I don't even practice. And coaches are now making a better selection, and athletes are making a better selection. We have better ways. If you want to, South Carolina, $25, $35, $40, go get South Carolina, scrunners.com, and you pay that for the year or 2 years, according to how you can get every high school and college time on that is in South Carolina and the whole nation. So you can get the rankings they have on there where you are in the state against who's in the nation, for what age group, club, high school, middle school, male, female, college, alumni, boy, girl, cat, Frankenstein. They're all on there. Athletic Net will give you the first 25 for free. If you go to athletic.net You can get the first 25 for free. All of their state meets are not as complete as scrunners.com. And if you wanted to know about world-class athletes, you could go to worldathletics.org, go to the menu, hit the stats. When it comes down the stats zone, our athletes, put your athlete name in. You can find it from there. Or the stat zone, when it comes down, they'll have top lists for all time and top lists for a particular year, male or female, in whatever event you want, from the marathon to the javelin. And from there, you can see where everyone stands for the year. And by process, you all know most people know how to handle the internet now. You could find out their entire season for any season that they threw and what they did when they didn't throw. So that information is available. And those things have got us now where we've got athletes of different sizes trying things that didn't do it before. They didn't become the center on the football team. They came out of power forward. I don't think a center would be but a power forward. You remember, Wilt Chamberlain was the NCAA champion in the high jump.
I don't remember that, but you do, because you're a lot older than me. So a perfect segue.
Conference champion. I'm not messing with you. He might have been a conference champion, Big Ten champion. But go ahead.
Perfect. Well, Coach, if someone wants to keep up with what you're doing, maybe they got a child that wants to be coached or they want to be coached themselves, where can they find you?
You can get me at Herbert Johnson Track and Field Academy on Facebook, and just leave a message in, or you can IM me. I just found out what that meant, the IM thing. You can instant message me. It'd probably be the fastest way, Herbert Johnson Track and Field Academy. You can go on the Facebook page. I would tell you to use the email address, but I only look at that probably about once every 2 months. We don't do a lot of training. No. We don't do a lot of training anymore for like a daily thing like you and I would do every day. So, and we don't take a lot of athletes. I'm thinking how I want to progress in this. Do I want to go back to the younger athletes and then move them on? Because by the time a lot of them get to high school, they've picked up such bad training habits but you also don't want the younger athletes to be treated like they are running the Olympic Games, where they have so many practices and the practice is so long that you're going to burn them out. You start them so young that by the time they get to high school, they're never going to want to run track and field again. You killed them. There is no real advantage outside of the technique understanding to try to get them physically fit until they hit puberty, which comes younger, I think a little bit younger now than when I was boy and girls. But until they hit puberty, we don't know what they're going to be. Fat kids become skinny kids, slow kids become fast kids. You just don't know until they hit puberty. So trying to turn them into an Olympic athlete before puberty, I would say teach them every technique, make it fun after an hour, maybe an hour and a half. But for the younger ones that under middle school, an hour, send them home. 2 days a week. The middle schoolers, maybe 3 days a week if you're going to have a sustained program, nothing more than 6 weeks at a time, and then break for 2 weeks and then let them come back out. And if they are in the field screaming and hollering, Mackenzie and Samantha, and trying to throw shot putts on you, then, you just have to watch yourself because take a break every 20 minutes and don't make it at that age. So many parents, and it's the parents, I'm going to tell you parents, it's you, because the kids go out there and run. And if I had them out there by themselves and just told them to run, and you didn't tell them before, if Johnny beats you again, you're not going to Taco Bell, they would just be out there running and they wouldn't care. If I told each one of them and they just lost, you won, he lost. It was all of you did great. And they didn't have to hear you talk about how they lost to the guy down the street. They would have a great time. Let them be children for a little bit before they become the greatest athletes in the world. Take it from a person who's been lucky enough to coach athletes since 1976 on every level and have seen what it takes to coach athletes on high level and smaller. let them be children for as long as possible, because they're going to be adults all of the rest. And we don't take nobody prisoner as adults. We kill all.
Well, that's kind of terrifying, but I'm going to put your information in the show notes anyways.
That's terrifying. They're going to hit you an adult.
And
these people ain't taking no prisoners.
Well, as always, it was fantastic having you on. I'm going to try to bother you to get you back on during the Olympics when you're not busy coaching. Thank
you, Brandon. This has been fantastic. I'm happy to be here, man. We got to go over and eat some more.
Yes,
but it's been fun. Tell Aaron I said, hey, tell Mom hi and all, and tell everybody, still love them. And you keep doing what you're doing. I already told you. I'm waiting to turn on ESPN.
Definitely. So this has been, before we get to ESPN and the 2028 Olympics, this has been another episode of Beyond the Arc with Brandon Silvers. As always, I am your host, Brandon Silvers. Thank you for watching, listening, rating, subscribing, reviewing, and sharing. And I will catch y'all later.